everybody, and welcome to the Astral Tourist, broadcasting live from planet Earth. So, I have a couple of astral projections to share. I've been a little under the weather lately with a bit of a stomach flu. It was really bad for a day, and then mainly I've just been tired and achy, and now I'm finally getting over it a bit. I remember that somebody had asked me if sending energy, like I did for the lake party, can contribute to fatigue. And yes, it can. It usually doesn't bother me. If you do something like Reiki and pull in universal energy, that can balance it out. And usually that's fine for me and I don't have a problem, but it is something to be aware of. Like, you don't just give your energy away and then, not receive it from somewhere else, or you will drain yourself. But for me, it's not a problem because I know to do that. So just in case people don't know that, make sure like you got to be bringing in some energy too, or you're just going to be using your own energy and you're going to get drained. Also, I don't know if I really should blame the lake party for the flu because, remember I was traveling in Aruba and that often seriously drains me. So maybe between the two, it's not uncommon for me to come back from like a vacation or a trip or, etc., only to get sick. So there were the two factors there going on. I was, giving myself Reiki and stuff, but maybe it wasn't quite enough. And maybe I brought a little bug back from Aruba. I don't know, but I am on the mend. So I do remember I had this one astral projection in a futuristic looking place. It had a wonderful moon. It was a bright afternoon. There was a huge mall in the distance, and I went over there to explore. And all the shops were closed, but it looked like there were people inside them. Like, imagine a large garage doors with cardboard in front of them. So I just stayed in the general mall area looking around, wondering what's happening. And then I heard somebody telepathing to me that there's going to be a big event with toys for the younger people there. And it's going to be like a big reveal. And maybe I should go outside while they finish preparing. It was a really nice recommendation. They weren't being rude or kicking me out. But I thought, okay, that's fine. And because I wasn't going to be able to go see anything without like intruding somewhere, right? And I didn't want to do that. So I went back outside, and I remember there was a lady I was talking to her, and I asked her about this. She said, oh, yes, it's a big toy celebration, and that's going to be later in the day. And I saw there were crowds with older people and younger people around, and some were bringing in like hundreds of beings from different places for this thing. I thought, okay, so I don't know how interested I am in the toys. And now that I'm thinking back on it, I really should have been, because this is a futuristic kind of a place, right? I mean, what kind of toys are they going to have? I should have been more curious, I think. But I was looking up at the moon, and that's when I thought I heard somebody I know from YouTube here. And I started focusing on him instead, and I tried running, and I remember this place has really heavy gravity, and I could barely move through the crowd because I was trying to move too quickly. The secret in this place, or the big tip in this place, is to move slower. Like if you're slowly walking and drifting and not trying to fly too fast, you can pretty much get around at a regular speed. But I forgot that here, and I was trying to like catch up to this person. I was telepathing at him. He was with two other people. And eventually he looked back, and I woke up with so many tingles. That made the exertion of trying to reach him made me wake up. But he did turn around to look at me, and I woke up with massive tingles this time instead of like just normally waking up. And I'm sure it's just from the effort I put into that. But anyway, that was a really fun one. So this next one I'm going to share is not so fun, but it's not terrible either. It's about the gray aliens. Okay, so last night I was actually trying to reach Shambhala. I know, really ambitious. Shangri-La, Shambhala. I'd been watching a documentary about it, and they're talking about the quantum physics and parallel, that it's in a parallel reality. So you're supposed to go north of Mount Kailash and to the east and keep on going. And it's there in a parallel dimension, according to the Shambhala teachings. So I thought I'd give it a go since I've been in the Himalayas before. And I'm really sure I haven't ever been there. And I thought that would be cool to visit Shambhala. I mean, it sounds like you can get there in the astral because it's a parallel dimension and it's existing at this other quantum level, according to this documentary. And I thought I can at least give it a go. So I want to interject here. Sometimes in the past, when I'm trying to get somewhere that's existing at a really different vibrational rate, it seems like I then get into a place that has a lower vibrational rate from my normal one as well. And then later, after numerous attempts, I've been able to transition to the higher one. And I don't know what the physics of that is or if there are any. It seems like it's more than random because it's happened to me before when I'm trying to get into a really higher dimension or a very different vibrating one. It seems like I get a little bounce back or something. So this time I don't remember actually getting bounced back or anything, but there was the blackout phase others have talked about where I just didn't remember anything for a while. I remember Mount Kailash kind of. I think I got that far. I was going on looking for Shambhala, and then there was this blackout phase, and then I was in a gray alien area. And it turned out, I was exploring around it. It turned out to be a reclamation center for clones. So there were a bunch of beings standing in fluid, kind of looking melted down and stuff. At first I was like, oh gosh, this is negative and all this. And then I told my mind, no, you don't jump to that. Let's get more information. And so the first thing I did was blend into the area. I got into my misty form, and then also began trying to look like a gray alien myself and just, blend in as much as possible. So that was my self-defense thing, even though nothing was bothering me. And so then I was observing, there were long hallways. I was observing all of these, some looked humanoid, some looked gray alien form. And they were all really skinny and looked like they had little holes poked in them. And I was feeling, and there was no soul. There was nothing in these beings. These were clones. And, that were beingless. These were just the actual shells. So I want to make that clear. I mean, nobody was being tortured or anything like that. These were just lines and lines, not all in straight lines. Some were spread out in this goo stuff and just being melted down. And so I'm just walking along the hallways, and sometimes I'm passing by some of these gray aliens, but nobody's really tending to the clones except for one. One looked like it was wobbling or something, and I saw a gray alien go over there to fix it or something. He moved it over a little bit and made some kind of an adjustment. And I remember I could read his thoughts just a little bit faintly. He was thinking to himself that shouldn't be doing that. And so he basically fixed whatever the mechanical problem was and got it into a position to continue melting. I'm not sure what all the little holes were about. I want to say maybe that they had wires at some point, but I did not actually see wires. So that's me just, having some conjecture here about what I'm seeing and thinking about it. I remember I went into a room to look to see if there was anything happening in these little offshoot rooms, because otherwise it's just this huge building with rows and rows of these walkways and pathways. It was very metallic. And then, to the side of the room, there's the area with the um, wet stuff, the wet goo, and these clones, lines and lines of them just being melted down. So in this other room, which was to the left, I went in there and it was just really basic room. There was like a metal desk, a metal chair. I sat in it for a few minutes and I did a little telepath. I was like, is anybody else in here hiding? And I did not get a response. I began thinking about X-Men, it's like, is there an X-Man in here? And so my mind was beginning to wander a little bit. I thought I better keep moving or I'm going to start to dream or wake up or something. And so I got back up. I floated back up. It was easy to float here. I went back out. I went down a whole other hallway I hadn't tried out yet. And I came like to an area with windows. And looking out, it looked like I was in a really dusty place. Like it was orangish, reddish dust out there, very desert-like. Um, there was a taller gray with darker, I don't know that it was darker skin. I think it was wearing a uniform. He was out there. He saw me looking out the window, so I guess I forgot to blend in enough. So he came hovering over, and he just asked me to stay inside because it wasn't safe outside. And it looked like a really dusty planet. I told him, sure, I'll stay in. I was just looking. I don't know that he recognized me as being human, but he recognized somebody was there at the window looking out, and it was, his duty to make sure that everybody is safe. So he's telling me to stay inside because it's unsafe out there. There was some kind of large mechanical equipment out there as well. I couldn't make out exactly what, like they were really tall, like skyscraper-sized mechanical machines. And they were kicking up a lot of dust, or the planet naturally had a lot of this dust. One of the two, or both. So basically very industrial. And that's what I saw, and I woke up soon after that. And so this next one is more fun. When I became lucid and aware that I was already astral projecting, I was with my significant other, and I've said before, he never remembers his dreams, hardly ever. He remembers like if he has an airplane crash. But anyway, I was with him. We were overseas in the UK somewhere, and there was a role-playing event that he took me to. So his astral self took me out to this role-playing area. And I thought that was really cool. There was a giant castle, and inside were different rooms that had actual whole scenes that even looked like they were outside in some cases. But if you like floated over to the wall, you could tell that it was just like wallpaper kind of style, like just the theme for the room. And I think we got separated because I remember I wanted to go explore this one room he didn't want to go into, and it was some kind of room of horrors about a celebrity. I don't want to say the name. And so I went in there, and I was just looking around. It was really lavish and plush in this one room. And without getting into too many details, way in the back room was like a dungeon area with some like kinky equipment and stuff. And that's all I'll say about that one. But the detail was pretty good in that front room it was like a living room area. It was also plush and lavish and like, a wealthy of the wealthy kind of deal, billionaire style. So then I came back out to the hallway and I explored another room, which looked like it was like forested, very Celtic themed. People were dressed up in like Renaissance stuff, and I found my significant other was still back there. He was looking around and just, walking around enjoying himself. And then it seemed like he faded out, so I think he woke up, but I'm not sure. But I was still like there, so I decided to go outside all the way from this place, and that's when I saw we were in the castle. and there was this beautiful lake in front of it. And for some reason, it had like a bluish green overtone to it. The lake did, not the castle. And the castle looked a lot smaller than I thought it would for having all those giant role playing areas inside. So I didn't get to look around a lot. There was like a walking path, very King Arthur style stuff going on for the most part. But there were other areas too that have like faded from my memory now. And so when I woke up this morning, he was still asleep, and he's usually almost always the one that wakes up first. So I don't know if he woke up earlier or just went into a dream or something earlier. But anyway, he was still sound asleep. But when he woke up, I said, "Hey, I had this cool dream." I called it a dream because he doesn't believe in this stuff. And you took me to like a Renaissance fair overseas. And that's when he told me, get ready for some tingles here. Oh, I was just about to tell you about the Renaissance fair next weekend. So, yeah, Renaissance fair has been on his mind anyway, and we have one to go to next weekend. So I thought that was really neat. And no, he didn't remember anything from the whole night of sleeping that he did. So, yeah, Renaissance fair time is coming up. And this is the fair I found that wonderful mugwort at last year. It's already been a year since that. And so hopefully the same vendor will be there. I have that series about mugwort if you want to look that up in the playlists and using mugwort. And I will be getting some more if she's still there. And if not, maybe I'll have to order some online from her. Anyway, it's really fun. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe and tell me what you're interested in. Like on Patreon, what can I do on Patreon for people? Like I'm happy to give like fan recognition or like extra tips, maybe a private forum, but should that be on Patreon or in Discord, or should I like make my own forum? There are so many astral projection resources now, but tell me what I can do that maybe isn't being addressed as much as you'd like. I mean, there's so many tips out there, so just saying more tips is a little bit unclear. Like, what kind of tips can I give you that you haven't had already? I can just share my own experiences. So let me know what you're interested in as far as something like a forum or Patreon perks and things like that. I'm open to suggestions and ideas. Please let me know, and happy astral travels, everyone.